Welcome to the truth. Welcome back to the truth. Tonight we're going to be talking about who we really are as a person, the people, the true people, an Israelite. As I was growing up and going to church and being under my pastor and my preacher and stuff, they got us to a certain point. But God kept revealing to me that it was more. It's more and it's more. So I was looking for the truth. I prayed and God showed me the way. We always have the truth right here in this Holy Bible, King James Version, Deuteronomy 28 through 30. And it's tell you all the plights we're going to be going through and what we have been through. But our pastors and stuff do not tell us this. So so many of us become lost. Because God says, seek and you shall find the truth. You shall find, not we. So we got to get up and start get into these words and find out who we truly are. Because we have been lied to. You got to understand, when we was growing up, you got to understand who trained us. The Gentile trained us. So you got to say, generation after generation, we went through this. But God got his stars. And he wants us to dig deep to find out who we truly are. We are the true children of God. We are the Israelite. And it's other tribes of us. But it's up to us to find out the truth.
Shabbat Shalom. I am Rabbi Simon Altaf, your host today, and today I'm going to present the true Hebrew Israelites. What color were they? What ethnicity? And where are they going to return from? Obviously, I'm not going to cover everything, but I will cover some important aspects of the people of Hebrew Israelites, and ancestry especially. And also, I have been asked by many friends before to explain these things, but as you know that there are appointed times and places for these things to be revealed, and I feel that now the time has come for us to look at these details and to decide where we stand with these things, because this ultimately will affect our understanding of who we are, and this will also affect the way we worship Elohim, our Almighty Creator, and also obviously Yehoshua, who is Elohim. So my friends, I'm going to take you into the ancient understanding, or at least the modern understanding as well, of what people think. Most people, as you know today, think that the Hebrew Israelites, or the 10 tribes, they migrated to Europe. A lot of people on the internet have been writing books saying that if you want to find the Hebrew Israelites, you go to Denmark and places like, for instance, England. They say that Denmark, the Danish people live. The Danish people, they are the Danites, and you'll hear about England being the Ephraimites. You'll hear about America being the Menashites, and you'll hear also other things such as these. And these mainly come from European or Western writers who feel that the Hebrew Israelites of the 10 tribes migrated to these lands in Europe, and they became many big nations after that. There is truth, there is some truth to that, but it is not the truth. Because as you will see in this segment, that I will prove to you very, very quickly that majority of these theories are false. They are not true. They do not fit with European lands or Western lands as we thought they did. However, it will be wrong to say that entirely the Western lands don't have any presence of Hebrew Israelites. They do have presence of Hebrew Israelites, but what color are they? Are they white Europeans, American white people, or are they black Europeans, black American people, or are they Asian people like me from the South Asian sides like India, Pakistan, and those regions, like for instance China and other Asian nations. So it's very important that we understand that. I feel that a lot of people who have been writing on these things have been either writing with a clouded mind or a certain bias, or perhaps they just simply don't know that what they're doing is right or wrong. It's just a opinion, and I simply take that as an opinion. But I'm going to set forth some really hard, strong suggestions, and you will have to examine them before you reject them. And if any of you want to reject what I suggest, you're welcome to do so, because you can take these as my opinion, or not just my opinion, my convictions of who I am, what I represent, and what I'm stating to be truth. I am myself of the Kohanim tribe, Levite. So what I state here is to me, for all purposes, for all understanding of myself, from where I came from my background, an Islamic background, where Yehoshua, our master, called me out 12 years ago. I know what I state to be the truth. However, your opinion may differ. That's understandable. We can sometimes agree to disagree and still not fight over these things by certainly debates. We can debate these things out. So I'm going to show you from the Bible that what most of people are writing about Hebrew Israelites is not only wrong, but very wrong. Why? Because Hebrew Israelites, first of all, are not European people. European in the sense, when I say European, I'm excluding the races that inhabited Europe or migrated to Europe, like Indians going to Europe, Pakistanis, or the Africans going to Europe. That's what I mean. I mean the early inhabitants of Europe, 7th century Europe, 8th century Europe, or 1000 CE Europe, or 2000 CE Europe. We're talking about the Europeans after the time of the Messiah. The majority of these we know, many of these Europeans in England, in France, in Germany, in Denmark, for instance, we know that these were Caucasian people. They were white people. They were people of races that had come to these islands. For instance, we know that the Anglo-Saxons, they came to these islands in England. We know that the Normans came to these islands. So how can they be Hebrew Israelites? A lot of people assume that Anglo-Saxons are the sons of Isaac. This is not necessarily so. This is an assumption. That assumption cannot be proved by the Bible. Let me prove that to you. If you look at the map, and here I bring a map to you, and here you see on the map is the what today people term is the African continent, and on top of the African continent we'll see here England, and we'll see on the right of this map Russia in the colors over here, and if we go to the left of the map we'll see United States of America, Canada. Now at the bottom south we'll see Brazil, we'll see Spain over here just above Israel to the west, and we'll see Algeria, we'll see Chad, Nigeria. These are all states west of Israel. Now looking at the prophecy of Hosea chapter 11, which I want to point you to, verse 10, it states very clearly that they shall walk after the Lord, in the Hebrew Yud He Vav He, and it ends with, the children shall tremble from the west. This is a prophecy that many writers assume means Western islands or Western lands, such as America, such as, for instance, England, Greenland, Western Europe as a whole. That is not entirely accurate, because if you look at the translation, and I have in my hand the Abrahamic Faith Hebraic Study Scriptures, if we look at the translation there, and I point out here in the translation that the terminology West, which is misunderstood and misapplied in this particular structure, as I'm showing you in Hosea chapter 11, I show from my Bible that I've translated that they shall walk after Yud He Vav He, he shall roar like a lion, and when he shall roar, then the sun shall come trembling up from the sea. Now, The Hebrew word here that is translated west can also be translated sea. Now you have to understand that originally when the Hebrew Israelites came back from Egypt, they did not come from the west. They actually crossed a sea, and if we go down here in the map, you will notice that the region which we know is the Saudi Arabian region here. We have the Gulf of Aqaba, which they would have crossed. I want to point out something, that all these regions that you see here, the African continent, including Israel, at one time was part of this continent. Israel was not west, Israel was not east as such. Israel was simply called Africa. Everything about Israel was African. So we have to understand that when Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, the Elohim of Israel, when he's calling out his sons, where is he calling them out from? It is very clear that if you look at this pin here, which is right in the center of Israel, that the western lands of Israel was not England, was not Europe. Europe is up here, north of Israel. They are north. Look at the map. They are not west. And they are not across the sea. They are across many seas, plural. And we have to understand that although the word can be used west and the sea, the only sea that they crossed to come back to Israel when they were in Egyptian captivity was the Sea of Reeds. What today we identify as the Gulf of Aqaba. And some people identify as the Red Sea. Either way, if we look, the western lands are African lands. My friends, Hebrew Israelites were never white. Yes, there were some albinos amongst them. Albinos means that they were born with a white hue or white skin, but they were still Africans. Now, they were dispersed into these African lands, and from here they migrated into practically all parts of the world. Yes, they do exist in America as well. Yes, they do, but they are Africans. They were taken there by the slave trade, the Atlantic slave trade. If we come back here, how can the sons, the children of Israel, walk back from the west if they are never in England? And what is west then according to the Bible? According to the Bible, my friends, west is the African continent. That is the majority of the continent where they're going to come out of. Well, you might challenge my thesis that how can it be? What about England? What about America? Well, if we look at America, today the black people in America who have lost their identity, culture, their habits, they think they are American just because they were living there for 100 years or 150 years. But what you have to understand, my friends, is that they were not originally Americans. Because America was inhabited by a very different people before the Europeans went there to conquer America. America was inhabited by different kinds of people. One of those people, as you know, are the Red Indians. But apart from the Red Indians, there were also black people there at that time. But coming back to this segment, there were people taken in this Atlantic slave trade. They were taken to England,